Do I look comfortable? Well, it's a small change in environment. So this last weekend, my son graduated, or not really graduated, but his performance program finished with a massive concert. I won't bore you with all of his performances, but he was awesome. But that means that now I do not have 3 hours of being in a car by myself to work on my books every weekend, which was actually kind of nice because it kind of gave me some focus time where I could sit down and kind of go through my notes and really think things through. For today, I thought it would be kind of fun since I've been trying to figure out how to move forward on a couple of the plot items. I would actually give you plot themes for this. So let me flip over here, page 66. One of the fun things that I get to do is I get to spend a lot of time doing research. I guess one of the worst things that can happen is for an actual fiction author to get in trouble, or because checking his browser history is probably a little incriminating, just because of some of the stuff that we have to go look up. One of the things I did was I have here some research. What this is in one of the episodes, Janali has to go to a very, very high altitude. In fact, the crux of the research being done for the first season of Endless Horizons centers around the fact that she's discovered 2 mountains which are equivalent heights, and those heights are high enough to actually get up out of the first layers of the atmosphere. So essentially Mount Everest heights. So the question then becomes is, well, okay, so for climbing, at what level do you get altitude sickness? And also, what kind of trees because as you move up a mountain, because when I was younger, I used to do a lot of camping and hiking, and there's very specific tree lines. So I remember, going up a mountain, and it went from cedars and oaks and stuff like that to aspens, and different types of evergreens. So I need to go do a little research on that to find out what they did in the past before we had a lot of a lot of the modern items. And so so for example, I found out that so it goes cottonwoods. Cottonwood trees generally in the canyons and the lower altitudes. You move up a little bit, it goes into oak and aspen, and as you get higher up, it turns into spruce and fir trees. And that there's you can tell which ones are what by the scars in the bark, and that the bark tea is actually an old remedy, which is where we kind of got some stuff like aspirin from. Because if you take the bark from an aspen and you strip it and then you boil it, and then you boil that down, that's actually a very excellent substitute for aspirin. In fact, I'm not quite sure if it has aspirin in it, but it reduces fever. It's good for anti-malaria. It's a painkiller and an anti-inflammatory. So I'm thinking, well, that's very interesting to have. However, it's not modern medicine. So before you go boiling aspen bark, be warned that overdoses can cause sweaty skin, leading to rashes, a diminished vision loss, leading to blindness, loss of high-frequency hearing, and reversible deafness. So you can actually be made deaf for a period of time from an overdose of this, but your hearing will return. So this is just, you know, a little bit of research that I was doing because, you know, Janali is going to go to a high altitude, going to have to hire what amounts to a mountain guide or a Sherpa from the native village, and of course she's going to have she has being that she's never really gone to any tall altitudes on her own. You know, she's actually one of these individuals that suffers from altitude sickness, which she's going to have to figure out how to overcome and become capable of dealing with it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your patronage, and you know, all of you people are just totally awesome. And if you're not people, call me, because you know I'd like to hear more about that. Bye bye.